I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. 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 And that's exactly what the day is.
All right, shout out to the gang. We are in the building on this Friday morning. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We're gonna go ahead and get into it. Let me make sure we're good. Oh man, looking all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the morning show. I'm your host, Classy Beats of classybeats.com, patreon.com, Classy Beats, by the way. Link is in the description. And we are going to get into a great show today. So happy to see all of y'all here. We're on verdict watch, as I mentioned in the title. So we're waiting to see what happens with Jason Levesque. We're going to see if there's going to be a verdict today. I need to ask y'all in the chat what you think, if there's going to be a verdict today. We'll have to wait and see. Also, we're finally going to get into what's going on with this Big U indictment. This thing is crazy. I'm sure y'all, many of you in the community have been looking at what's been going on there. So we're going to cover it. We're going to give you a review, a little bit of oversight of what's going on. We're going to talk about Big U turning himself in, and then we're going to go through the indictment. We probably won't get through the full thing today, but there's a lot of interesting facts there. I'll give you guys a summary as well. Got some YSL updates. We've got some Tony Busby updates too. It's going to be one of those days, man. Shout out to everybody who's in the building, man. Let me say what's up to the people. We've got my awesome, amazing Amy is in here. A Fitz is in the building. Michi, Les Cleaver, Valencia. Good to see you. Brown Sugar Babe, Tanya. Jay Buckmasters back in here. The Honorable Attorney Kelbell is in the building as well. Good to see you. We've got, oh, excuse me. Tanya said, oh, who is that artist? The artist is Keely, and the link to this song is actually in the description, but I'll drop it for you in the chat as well if you want to go ahead and save that to your playlist over on Spotify. Blue Summers is in here as well. Good to see you. We've also, I missed a couple of y'all. TM's in here. We've got Janice in the building. Gerald. We've got Net. Did I say that right? Is it Netty or Net? Oh, dang. I'm so bad with names. I apologize. We got Rona in here. We got Taja is in the building. Gerald, Taco Tuesdays in here on the Friday. Good to see y'all, man. We're going to go ahead and get right into it because, as I mentioned, we've got a lot to get to today. So if y'all could, please do me a favor. Make sure you like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, not only does it take less than 2 seconds, but it does help the channel continue to grow. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show, and it shares the video and the channel out with more people. So thank y'all for getting us there. Y'all see over my, is it over my right shoulder? I can never remember. I think it's over here somewhere. We got that 100K plaque up in there, sent to us by YouTube. Amazing, man. And it's all because of y'all's support. So thank you for the love and support. We're going to continue to keep pushing. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. I just realized I did not get my titles done, by the way. Tanya, you're welcome. Michi says an arrest is made. And yeah, most def, not surprised at all. I saw that. And there's actually some video that resurfaced of Adam 22 interviewing. We might get into it later, because that whole situation is wild as well. But we'll talk about it at some point. But let's go ahead and get into what we have from YSL. And I actually need to update this headline because I did not have my headlines ready. Oh my goodness. So I might just need to, let me just do this. I'm going to do this. And we're not going to have the headlines up there right now because I messed them up. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it if y'all are ready. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Michi. We're going to talk about it at some point. All right, so we've got some more YSL updates, some more YSL news brought to us by the #1 place to find information about YSL on X, Thugger Daily. What does Thugger Daily say is going on here? So he said, we've got the YSL property forfeiture civil case update for our guy Duke. And what does he say? And Duke, remember, was represented by, or is represented by, Ashley Merchant. Thugger Daily says Judge Whitaker has granted the state's motion for default judgment for all the property belonging to Duke. Oh, man. The state asked for a default judgment because no one responded to the civil suit claiming Duke's stuff. Are you serious? How? So Judge Whitaker granted it. So what is this saying? We've got the plaintiff's state of Georgia having moved for a default judgment against any and all interest Martinez Arnold may have in the defendant's personal property, and the court having read and considered the motion, it is hereby ordered that the motion is granted. More specifically, the complaint for forfeiture naming Martinez Arnold as an alleged owner / interest holder of certain items of personal property was filed on July 7, 2022, pursuant to OG 9/16/12. The following items of defendant's personal property were seized from Martinez Arnold or from inside a vehicle registered to him and named in the complaint for forfeiture, and to which no other alleged order interest holder has made a claim. So basically, nobody asked for it. I don't know how that's possible, but that's kind of wild that Judge Whitaker is granting this, because I can't imagine that his attorney would have just let this slide. But hey, we've seen worse. Shout out to Derek Wright. So what did they actually get? We've got a 2021 white Mercedes-Benz AMG GT. Oh my goodness. We've got $4,126. Okay. We've got item 71 on addendum A. It's a Rolex Datejust watch with a blue face. That's a nice watch. We've also got a diamond Cuban link chain necklace with the trapezoidal clasps. Okay. We got a diamond tennis necklace with the diamond Duke pendant. They've got a diamond shady baby ring, a diamond cuff bracelet, 2 diamond stud earrings in rose gold setting, and a diamond tennis bracelet, approximately 13 grams. Dang, they got all this man's stuff, which is so sad. So sad to see he's not going to get his stuff back. What else is Thugger Daily saying here? He also says, ordinarily, the deadline for responding to the complaint for forfeiture would be 30 to 45 days. So 30 to 45 days back in July 2022. I don't know that Ashley Merchant was representing him then. Let's see here. We've got, in this case, Duke was served while he was still in jail fighting for his life. He still didn't officially have the lawyer that would represent him before he retained Ashley Merchant. So dang, unfortunately, he didn't have the proper representation here and he ended up suffering, which is unfortunate. And then lastly, Thugger Daily says, actually, let me go back here real quick. It says Martinez Arnold was personally served by a deputy with the Fulton County Sheriff's Office pursuant to 9/16/12 and 9/11/4 on July 19th, 2022. A copy of the sheriff's entry of service was not filed until August 1st, 2022, which started the 30-day clock for Martinez Arnold to file an answer to the complaint for forfeiture pursuant to OCGA 9/16/12. Dang, Martinez Arnold did not file an answer by the 30-day deadline, August 31st, 2022. So his stuff is gone, which means they're probably going to go up for auction at some point. I can imagine that they're going to keep him, but I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen to him? Thugger Daily says, also shortly after the deadline, Judge Glanville put in an order staying the case until the criminal case is resolved and all criminal defendants. This effectively halted the civil cases proceedings, and the order is still active today. So it's looking like Duke is actually still going to get a chance to get his stuff back. I know Ashley Merchant's probably going to be putting in work there to help him out, but this is still wild and surprising to see. It says, given what the court finds will be a complex criminal trial based on the high number of criminal defendants involved, 28 to be exact. This is from Glanville. And the extensive indictment, which includes 56 criminal charges, a conclusion of the 90-day discovery period, the civil forfeiture case will be stayed until the criminal case is resolved. As to all criminal defendants, the parties may consent to extending the discovery period beyond the initial 90 days. All right. And then Thugger Daily, we've got one more thing here. It says Duke has 10 days to respond to the default judgment and try to get it vacated, which will most likely happen. Ashley Merchant's probably going to be on it, right? Within 10 calendar days of the entry of a default judgment, the party against whom the default judgment was issued may file a written motion requesting that the judgment be vacated or modified and stating the grounds for the motion. The court may accept an untimely motion if the party includes facts establish good cause for the delay in filing. Well, if he was in jail, if he didn't have an attorney, I think that should be enough to be able to get him to have a chance to fight this. So Ashley Merchant, we know what she does. Absolutely amazing at her job. Got a win against Fannie Willis a couple weeks back. And now she's in here fighting for Duke. So I'm sure we'll hear some news on this pretty soon. And they're going to do what they need to do to respond and try and get his stuff. But either way, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat when it comes to Duke. And we'll look forward to see what Ashley Merchant does there too. Shout out to the gang in the building. I see y'all in here. Oh, I forgot. I've got some news for y'all. Should I save it until the end of the show? Mr. Brown is up in here. Good to see you. We've got Miss 86 is in the building too. Good morning. Serotonin's up in here as well. I've got some news, and if y'all are on the Patreon, you already heard this morning the insane news about what's going to happen on Monday. Amy's saying I should say it now. We've got over 500 of y'all in here. Yeah, and shout out to Amy for dropping that. All right, so I have some exciting news for the channel. Super excited about this. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I know y'all are gonna love this. So we've been able to, because of what we're doing here. Oh man. So this coming Monday at 10 a.m., we're going to have the morning show, and we're going to have a very special guest this coming Monday during the morning show. And that special guest is none other than the honorable man himself, Joe Tacopina, is going to be in the building. This Monday, 10 a.m., Joe is coming over to the show. He's going to be here in the morning. We're going to have a great conversation about what went on in the ASAP Rocky trial. Joe is actually involved in some of the proceedings that are going on with Wendy Williams as well. So we're going to talk about that. I want to get his opinion on what's going on with the legal side of things, especially when it comes to rap. A lot's going down here in Fulton County. We'll talk about Fannie Willis because y'all know I'm sure Joe will have an opinion on that too. But super excited to get Joe on the channel. I know y'all have continued to share out the video, continue to put in the work to help us to grow. And Joe saw the coverage that we did during the ASAP Rocky trial. And he's like, man, I got to come over there and say what's up to the people. So he's going to be here on Monday. It's going to be a great time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having a conversation with him too. So again, make sure y'all spread the word. I'll be dropping announcements about that as we go throughout the weekend and reminding y'all on Monday to tap in. So make sure you look out for that. It's going to be a good time, and I'm excited. So y'all will get an opportunity to ask questions too as we go throughout the show and once we bring Joe up here. So I'll post a community post later on this afternoon where you guys can put some questions in there. And then as we go through the live show on Monday, you'll get a chance to ask Joe questions as well in the live chat. So it's going to be a fun time, man. And shout out to y'all for making this possible. I got to give y'all another round of applause. Yeah, shout out. Joe is a dope dude, man. Really looking forward to having him here. Good morning to everybody that's in here. I see y'all. I see you. Mr. Brown's in the building. What's up, Mr. Brown? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're feeling well. Good morning. Resting up as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into this next topic. Let me see if I can get this here. Boom. Got him. All right, so we've got another update on what's going on with Tony Busby. Y'all know Tony Busby is running scared. Actually, we're now at a point to where he's having some of his attorneys step in and put some defense up for him because this man is looking absolutely terrible. Having to fight with the Southern District of New York. We just saw he pulled himself, or he filed to quit multiple cases that he was involved in when it came to Sean Carter, when it came to Diddy Combs, because he wasn't allowed to practice there. He wasn't admitted to practice in the Southern District of New York, and now he's trying to get out of these cases. So we're going to see what's going to happen moving forward there. But shout out to Cat Williams in here. She actually dropped this lawsuit for us, and we're going to go, well, it's not the lawsuit. It's an update on one of the lawsuits that Tony Busby was represented on. And we're going to get into the full details here in a second. So shout out to Cat Not Williams for this. What does she say? She says Tony Busby and the Tony Busby law firm, they have a reply in support of their motion to strike. All right. Camille Vasquez. Shout out to Camille. She represented Johnny Depp in his trial. She says that Sean Carter and Jay-Z's true purpose is to, and quote, smear and defame the lawyer who dares to sue them. Now, come on, Camille. We know that's not true. And Jay-Z didn't even want to go through this process in the first place. Tony Busby messed up. Let's not pretend like he's the victim here. So let's go ahead and see what is Camille saying. This was just filed recently. And this is Sean Carter versus the Busby law firm. And this is the defendant's reply in support of their motion to strike the allegations in the plaintiff's first amended complaint. So let's get down to the introduction here. Camille comes out swinging. What does she say? Carter's approach is clear. Throw everything at the wall and hope something sticks. In an attempt to paint Mr. Busby as a perpetual villain, Carter has assembled a scattershot collection of grievances, none of which are relevant to the actual legal issues at hand, like signing a claim and not being somewhere you're not admitted. We'll get into that later. Either way, let's call it what it is. Baseless mudslinging. Carter's first amended complaint is riddled with irrelevant and prejudicial allegations, not to support legitimate claims, but to smear Mr. Busby's character. Boy, if this isn't a pot calling the kettle black. Underscoring the necessity of the relief sought, Carter's opposition doubles down on his improper strategy, using every opportunity to disparage Mr. Busby rather than addressing the substantive legal issues. This is a transparent effort to divert attention from glaring weaknesses in Carter's legal argument and accomplish Carter's true purpose, to smear and defame the lawyers who dared to sue him. Well, I mean, there was a false claim, Camille. So let's be real. But let's see what she says. She might have a point here. We'll keep it going. California law does not permit pleadings to be used as a vehicle for irrelevant, false, or improper allegations. I'm going to try and get through this, y'all, but this is wild that we're saying this here. The court should remove Carter's extraneous attacks on Mr. Busby from the FAC and ensure that the proceedings focus on the merits, free from bias, theatrics, and inflammatory distractions. The allegations defendants seek to strike fall into three categories. 1, speculative claims about the defendant's intent. 2, inadmissible references to the alleged past conduct that have no bearing on this case. And 3, an unfounded prayer for punitive damages lacking any factual basis. Because of everything that was going on, because of Tony Busby's lack of character, this lawsuit went forward. Not only did the lawsuit from Jane Doe go forward, but Jay-Z, as he mentioned in his initial FAC, says that he lost multi-million dollars worth of deals because of everything he was going through with these now false claims. The lawsuit by Jane Doe was dismissed with prejudice. It's never coming back again. So saying that they lack his claims, Jay-Z's claims lack any factual basis, I think that's going to be tough for the defendant to prove in this case. Either way, I'm not a lawyer. We're going to keep it moving. None of these allegations serve a legitimate litigation purpose. Accordingly, defendants respectfully request that the court grant the motion to strike and keep the case focused on the actual legal claims. What were they? What's their argument here? The subject allegations do not speak to intent and are extraneous. Carter's attempts to recast paragraphs 19, 38, 39, 48, and 51 as evidence of intent is misplaced and unpersuasive. These allegations should be stricken because they are inflammatory, speculative, and unnecessary to support his claims. First, allegations must be essential to the cause of action to be relevant for pleading purposes. None of these allegations at issue satisfy that standard, and Carter's claim that they show intent is a thinly veiled excuse. In the case of extortion, the relevant intent concerns Mr. Busby's the sending of the demand letters, which was a big issue. For the defamation, intent is relevant in terms of the deliberate publication of false statements or a reckless disregard for the truth. Similarly, for the intentional infliction of emotional distress, the focus is on whether the defendant acted with the intent to cause emotional harm. Didn't Tony brag about using the media and using this situation to force Jay-Z to do something substantial? I think, as he said in his lawsuit, this is wild. Second, the cited paragraphs rely on broad, unsupported conclusions that bear no legal connections to Carter's claims. For example, paragraph 19 stating that the purpose of Busby's ominous and highly publicized media statements was to enable him to extort lucrative pre-filing settlements is irrelevant to Carter's extortion claim, which is based solely on demand letters and not on Tony Busby's alleged statements to the media. Nor does the allegation go to Carter's defamation claim, as it neither speaks to the truth or falsity of the claim of the statement made, nor to the damage to Carter's reputation resulting from those statements. The subject's allegations amount to a stack of ad hominem attacks aimed at impugning defendant's character rather than substantiating the specific elements necessary for each claim. Carter's reliance on supposed past conduct and insulting rhetoric do not satisfy his obligation to plead direct and intentional acts against Carter relevant to the issue to each cause of action. His allegations should be stricken. This is what I have a problem with. Carter's reliance on supposed past conduct and insulting rhetoric do not satisfy his obligation to plead direct and intentional acts against Carter's relevant to each cause of action. But Tony Busby was doing this so Jay-Z would settle this case. Tony Busby wasn't doing this just for fun. I mean, a lot of these comments, a lot of the Instagram posts, a lot of these public statements were directed at Jay-Z. And Tony Busby continued to push and push and push and push this, knowing he hadn't done the right thing in the past. What are they saying in B? The subject allegations do not support punitive damages. Punitive damages are not simply recoverable in the abstract. They must be tied to oppression, fraud, or malice in the conduct which gave rise to liability in this case. Okay. Indeed, the jury instruction on punitive damages emphasizes that when awarding punitive damages, the jury must consider the reprehensibility of the defendant's conduct and ensure that the punitive damages bear a reasonable relation to the actual damages. In other words, the jury must evaluate the conduct giving rise to liability to assess if it warrants punitive damages. Moreover, conclusatory assertions and character attacks are not a substitute for factual allegations demonstrating the requisite mental state for punitive damages. Carter argues the allegations concerning unrelated third parties are material to the case and relevant to punitive damages. However, the punitive damages must be tied to the conduct which gave rise to the liability. All right, a lot of legalese there. The allegations regarding the third parties do not pertain to the conduct of the defendant in this case. Therefore, cannot support a claim of punitive damages. Moreover, to the extent Carter attempts to introduce such evidence, it would be inadmissible character evidence under Evidence Code 1101. References to defendants' purported past practices are inadmissible as they do not directly relate to the allegations at hand and are introduced solely to suggest a propensity for wrongdoing, which is not permissible under the rules of evidence. That makes sense. I get what she's saying. But if there were past instances against Jay-Z, then that seems like it would be admissible. Again, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just looking at this with a little bit of common sense and understanding of the law. And even if the allegations had any probative value, they do not. The risk of prejudice outweighs it. Evidence Code 352 allows the court to exclude evidence if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the risk of prejudice. The allegations in question are likely to unfairly bias the jury against the defendants as they involve past conduct unrelated to the claims at hand. Yeah, even if that's true, Tony Busby's done enough against Jay-Z alone. So if Camille's saying it's not necessary, that's fine. I'm sure she can get that. Tony Busby's done and said enough for Jay-Z to show to a jury for them to see exactly what was going on. So I get it. Similarly, the allegations regarding defendants' purported prior litigation conduct have no bearing on the punitive damages and serve only to inflame and unfairly prejudice. California law is clear that the allegations must be directly relevant to the claims at issue in order to be considered in the pleading. All right, we get it. Let's keep it moving. Collateral matters and irrelevant past conduct should be stricken. Carter's attempt to shield irrelevant, prejudicial, and immaterial allegations as evidence of past misconduct is legally unsound. Let's be real. I get what she's saying. Jay-Z probably just wanted to get this stuff out there, right? He wanted to remind everybody, hey, I'm going to put this in the document. It's going to be released. Classy's going to talk about it on his channel. It's going to be all over the place on X. I want to remind people what Tony Busby did. And we're going to continue to show that. We're going to continue to say that. And if it's not admissible, it is what it is. But at least he got it out there, right? All right, here we go. Carter's attempt to shield irrelevant, prejudicial, and immaterial allegations as evidence of past misconduct is legally unsound. The allegations do not pertain to Carter's defamation claim and only serve to paint the defendants in a negative light. She might be right there. With a broad brush of prior conduct unrelated to the allegations in this case. Plaintiff's arguments that paragraphs 76 through 81 are relevant to providing actual malice is flawed. While prior acts may sometimes be relevant in defamation cases as to establish malice, the allegations in paragraphs 76 through 81 are not sufficiently connected to the claim at issue here. Again, I can kind of see what she's saying. Also, she says, The allegations in paragraph 86 through 90 are likewise not material to the causes of action for extortion, defamation, or intentional infliction of emotional distress. These paragraphs primarily contain allegations of past conduct in unrelated cases, including purported witness referral agreements, venue disputes, and even dismissed criminal charges. Must be talking about Jane Doe in this case. For example, the FAC cites an alleged dismissed criminal matter and prior extortion investigation, neither of which resulted in findings of wrongdoing against the defendants. Yep, so she says defendants here, so she must be talking about Jane Doe's criminal past, and then her I don't know if she means Tony Busby here or Jane Doe's involvement in some of the lawsuits that were then dropped later on. And there were multiple. These allegations serve only to inflame and distract rather than advance any legitimate legal argument. She might have a point. Moreover, allegations of prior litigation tactics and unrelated defamation claims are not probative of the defendant's conduct in this case. The allegations do not contribute to any necessary legal analysis, and their inflammatory nature makes them improper under California law. I think she has a point there. It's probably going to get the initial FAC is probably going to get updated, but it's still fun for us to read, right? Plaintiff punitive damages allegations should be stricken. The plaintiff's opposition also fails to establish a valid basis for seeking punitive damages. Plaintiff improperly suggests that the defendant cannot challenge the punitive damages request through a motion to strike. However, Pearson is incapable as it is inapplicable as it is addressed to a scenario where a motion to strike was improperly used in lieu of a demurrer. Okay, we're getting into legalese. We don't want to go through all that. We just want to see what you're trying to say, Camille. What's the last thing she says? The court should exercise its discretion to strike the first amended complaint at paragraphs 4, 19, 38 through 39, 48, 51, and 76 through 90 under Code of Civil Procedure sections 435 and 436. And we have, this is dated March 19, 2025 by Camille Vasquez. Okay, I think she makes some good points. I can foresee this getting updated. And I honestly, now I want to be really petty and go back and look through exactly what these were. But I think we can have a good idea of what Jay-Z and Alex Spiro were saying in that part of the, well, it wasn't Alex Spiro in this case, but what Jay-Z was saying in these paragraphs. They're talking about what Jane Doe did in the past. They're talking about her multiple lawsuits that she filed. They're talking about her assault charges. They're talking about her kids being taken away. They're talking about Tony Busby going on to social media. They're talking about the NBC interview in some instances as well. So I think she might actually have a case here, and Tony Busby might get a win. We'll see what happens and what the response is going to be from Jay-Z. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. We got over 500 of y'all in here, and half of you have liked the video. Thank y'all for the love, man. Also, I gotta say shout out to Taco Tuesday in here. Just became a new member. Welcome to the membership side, Taco Tuesday. Again, if y'all didn't hear the news, Joe Tacopina is going to be joining us this coming Monday at 10 a.m. So y'all do not want to miss out on that show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Joe's going to have some great insight into what went on behind the scenes in the ASAP Rocky trial, what he's working on now, and hopefully give some insight into what's going on with hip hop in the legal field in general, because we're seeing a lot of it lately, it seems like. Also, shout out to Special Bendy Bros in here, showing love, has been a membership for 1 month, says love your channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, Camille is everywhere. You see that? Camille Vasquez is representing Relly. Over here representing Joe Tacopina, or not Joe, over here representing Tony Busby. Yeah, Camille is working. So a man files 22 lawsuits in a court he's not legal to practice in. Jay-Z's lawyers say other courts should know that. Then Tony Busby says they're attacking and trying to smear me. Oh man, make it make sense. He's a victim. Oh man. Yeah, Joe Tacopina is going to be here on Monday. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. So I'm excited for it. All right, let's go ahead and get into this next part because we've got some more news about Tony Busby and Camille because they've got some more stuff for us. Again, shout out to let me see. Hold on a second. Let me make sure this is right. All right. Shout out to Cat Not Williams. Absolutely amazing. If y'all don't support Cat Not Williams, make sure you go over there and subscribe to her channel. Show her some love. She does amazing work out there, and follow her on X too, because she gets a lot of updates and posts some of the documents that we cover here on this show. So Kat gave us another update when it comes to what's going on with Tony Busby. We're going to read through it here in a second. Tony Busby, the same day, filed another legal document. What does it say? They have a reply in support of their demurrer to Carter's first amended complaint. Kat says, California's litigation privilege is strong. We'll see what happens moving forward here. So let's actually get into this other response. Again, we've got Camille Vasquez representing the Busby law firm and Tony Busby against Jay-Z. What does she say? Here we go. In an introduction, Jay-Z, Sean Carter, continues to double down on the dishonest arguments asserted in his first amended claim and other papers in this action. But his opposition simply highlights the feeble nature of his claims, all of which lack substantive support and which rest on blatant mischaracterizations of the record. What is she talking about? Jay-Z introduces a slew of facts absent from the first amended complaint, all of which fail to offer any viable amendments that could rectify these deficiencies. The court should sustain the demurrer and dismiss this action with prejudice. So what's going on here? Camille says the demurrer should be sustained. Carter's claim for extortion is based on privileged conduct and fails as a matter of law. Carter's claim for extortion is premised on two demurrer letters requesting two demand letters requesting mediation. The letters are indisputably protected by the litigation privilege and as a matter of law do not constitute a wrongful threat. Basically saying Tony Busby saying that, hey, this is what we're looking for. It's covered. It's legal. He's allowed to send a demand letter. It's not extortion just because someone's saying, hey, here's what we're going to do moving forward. You want to take care of this now or you want to take care of it later? No problem there, is what Camille's saying. Further, Carter cannot escape that he paid no money in response to the demand letters. Consequently, Carter is forced to contort both the facts and the law to argue the claim should survive. It cannot. Litigation privilege applies as a matter of law. Carter's opposition argues that the privilege as an affirmative defense cannot operate without external evidence and therefore cannot be used to defeat a demurrer. All right, so they're going to get into more legalese here. We get it. She's saying Tony Busby was allowed to send the demand letters. You have no legal basis for defamation and extortion. The demand letters are core litigation conduct and no finding to the contrary can be sustained. In an attempt to save his claim, Carter mischaracterizes the court's tentative ruling on the anti-SLAPP motion to argue external evidence is necessary. True, the court stated that for the privilege to apply, Busby's parties need to have contemplated litigation seriously and in good faith. However, Carter completely ignores the court's determination that the defendants have made the requisite showing here. In so holding, the court cites both one, the demand letters themselves, which invited confidential mediation to resolve the dispute, or if not, in a filed action, and two, the fact that the suit was ultimately filed satisfied that requirement, which are facts Carter specifically alleges in the FAC. The face of the pleading itself conclusively establishes that the privilege applies. All right. So what else does she say about the demand letters? The demand letters do not amount to extortion. Here's where we might disagree. And I wish I want to see the full demand letter. I don't know if we'll get to see that or not, but at some point, hopefully we will. Independent of privilege, Carter has not adequately pleaded extortion and cannot do so. Carter's opposition purports to list elements of the extortion claim, but misleadingly cites to the statute defining fear. Interesting. And then she cites the case here. We've got Monex Deposit Company versus Gilliam. Carter ignores the essential element of extortion, that the action must be induced by the wrongful use of force or fear. Okay, California Penal Code 518. Further, Carter's reliance on federal law also ignores that no California court has recognized the tort of attempted extortion, and every California court has required the alleged exchange of property to adequately plead extortion. Okay. Carter's opposition tactically acknowledges that sending demand letters in advance of litigation is not extortionate behavior, and that sometimes, or that something additional is needed. Carter's theory is that threatening criminal referral in a demand letter is per se extortion. This creates two problems for Carter. First, nothing in the demand letters threatens criminal referral. Second, the law does not support that theory. I want to see these demand letters. Are they in here as exhibits? As to the first point, Carter acknowledges the demand letters contain no threat of criminal referral, which is true. And Jay-Z came out himself and he said, hey, if what you're saying in this claim is true, file criminal charges. And to me, that was the first time anything criminal was brought up. We could be missing something here, but we'll keep moving and see what they said. The letters do not threaten to publicize unrelated matters related to Carter, do not contain promises to refrain from going to law enforcement, and do not specify a demand for a particular sum of money. Well, he said a substantial. What was the phrasing he used? I can't remember, but it was something to do with a substantial amount or something like that. Anyway, thus Carter invokes the external context of the letters, but even there, Carter cannot identify any actual threat of criminal referral without distorting his own factual allegations. For example, Mr. Busby's alleged statements that other celebrities participated in what he labeled as a criminal enterprise is not a threat to refer to cases to law enforcement authorities. Interesting. Similarly, Carter repeatedly characterizes the Busby parties threatening to refer perpetrators to the FBI. However, the actual allegation from the FAC is that Busby's party's clients were available to the authorities, specifically to the FBI, and that we welcome the FBI or an authority who wants to come to us. So basically, he didn't directly say that he would talk to the FBI or he would go to the FBI with when it comes to Jay-Z, but he kind of in a roundabout way made a, what did they call it the other day? A conditional threat. I don't know. We'll see how the judge sees this though. Availability for contact with authorities is decidedly not the same as the threat to press criminal charges against Carter. What do y'all think? Let me know what y'all think about that in the comments and in the chat. If you're involved with someone and you say, man, I'm worried about this going down, they say, hey, listen, I've got access to certain people. I've got access to the FBI, local police department. And if they want to come and talk to me, I might have to say something to them. I don't know. It's up to you. So again, I'm just letting you know. It sounds like a, what did they say? A thinly veiled threat to me. I'll leave it up to y'all. Moreover, in considering the surrounding context, it cannot be overlooked that the public statements were vaguely asserted on behalf of clients in the plural and against celebrities again in the plural. So it wasn't just directed at Jay-Z, is what she's saying. It is simply not reasonable to interpret these generalized statements as specific threats from Jane and John Doe against Carter. Carter's own allegations belie and such argument. As to the second point, the law does not support Carter's theory that anytime a demand letter includes an allegation of torturous conduct that is also criminal, it is extortionate. Accepting a rule would prescribe the sending of demand letters for any civil tort that is likewise a crime. Yeah. I mean, demand letters seem pretty standard. That's what she's saying here. Indeed, Carter's tepid proposal of a demand letter that stated the lawyer represented a client who claims that she was assaulted and is willing to forgo litigation if an appropriate settlement can be reached. Oh, an appropriate settlement. Here we go. Runs afoul of his own made up rule because it implies that there could be criminal action and makes a demand for a settlement. Under Carter's false construction of the rule, it is impossible to imagine any demand letter in an assault case that would not constitute extortion. Basically, what she's saying here is anytime anybody who practices law sends a demand letter to someone when it comes to a civil case, under Jay-Z's rule, that would be considered extortion. And she's saying that's not the case. She might be right. Because if someone brings a false claim up against you and they say, hey, we want to have a meeting. We want to get, what was the phrase again? I always forget this. An appropriate settlement. You say, no, this isn't true. I'm not doing that. And they say, okay, we're going to move forward. That in itself is not extortion, is what Camille is arguing here. Y'all will have to let me know if you agree or not. Carter's extreme position leads him to the bizarre and patently insupportable assertion that this case is even worse than Flatley. I don't know who Flatley is. Yet in Flatley, the purported victim had allegedly created a sham record of a police report that would make her threats more ominous, while preventing the police from taking an action that might make the matter public, since any public report of the police action wouldn't necessarily spoil the scheme. The Flatley demand letter also specifically threatened, to disclose to the authorities violations of the U.S. federal immigration, IRS, SS, and administration, U.S. state, local, Commonwealth of UK, or international laws, if payment was not made. Finally, the defendant lawyer explicitly threatened to see that the story would follow him wherever he or his groups perform and would ruin him. Dang. It is impossible to justify or support Carter's argument to the court that Busby's party's demand letter asking for mediation was extortionate at all, much less more extortionate than these actions. I don't know. I'm kind of agreeing with Camille here. It just seems like a standard practice. It sucks. But again, I said this yesterday. Don't hate the law abiders, hate the law. So if you don't like the way that civil cases are handled, you might have to do something about it, find a way to change it. But people can bring these claims against you. The lawyer is allowed to send you a demand letter saying, hey, let's try and figure out a settlement so we don't have to move forward with this. Just because they're asking for money on something that might not be true, according to the law, you're allowed to do that. Carter's extreme position likewise leads him to ignore that every case cited in both the Busby's party's Demurrer and in Carter's opposition and in the anti-slap briefing follows the rule that a demand letter only becomes extortionate when it makes threats that are unrelated to the underlying claims of the alleged victim. All right, so the claim itself isn't illegal. So we'll go through here more legalese. And then she says, finally, Carter incorrectly argues that payment of money is not required to state a claim, citing only Flatley. However, Flatley expressly limited its holdings to the first prong of section 425.16 and made no determination regarding the elements of civil extortion claim. Okay, so we're not going to get into that. The plaintiff's claim for extortion fails on the Demurrer. What else does she say? Carter fails to state a claim for defamation. We already went through that. And then she says the statements A through D are not of and concerning Carter as a matter of law. What else? He says statements E through F are in the context of ongoing litigation and are his opinion. Lastly, well, this isn't lastly, Carter fails to allege malice because he can't prove that because they just sent a demand letter is what she's saying. Carter fails to allege special damages. To the extent these statements are defamatory at all, which they are not, they require proof of special damages, meaning actual monetary loss. Yet Carter fails to allege anywhere in the FAC that he suffered any such loss. And she's saying loss as a result of the demand letters. Nor could he cure this defect throughout the amendment, as the only loss he has referenced to date concerns alleged damages suffered by Rock Nation, a non-party that was not defamed. Interesting. But if Jay-Z represents Rock Nation, that's an interesting point. Without an allegation of actual personal economic harm, Carter's claim is legally insufficient and must be dismissed. Dang, this thing might be dismissed. Camille makes a great point. Carter fails to state a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress. That one I think is going to be hard for them to fight because he talked about the whole situation with him having to make a decision between either settling things with Tony Busby and Jane Doe or Tony Busby going out right before the premiere of Mufasa, his daughter's big event, and bringing this case forward, which ended up, as we know, happening. So the emotional distress part, I think I can see. The court should sustain the demurrer without leave to amend. And this was signed on March 19th by Camille M. Vasquez. Camille putting in work here. I mean, I could kind of see her point. I can see her point through a lot of this. The financial part, I think it's going to be harder to prove. The emotional distress, I can definitely see where Jay-Z has some emotional distress there, but we would have to actually look through the law and see how that would apply. Either way, y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments and in the chat. Let me see what y'all are saying in the chat, by the way. Shout out to the gang in here. Yeah, and thank you, Amy, for dropping her link. Y'all make sure you go follow Cat Not Williams up here. Show her some love. They're saying, in my opinion, they need to change the law when it comes to demand letters. Even lawyers themselves call it legal extortion. Yep, I agree. So Busby knew what he was doing with that comment. Yeah, but how else? This is tough, man. That's a tough statement because you have to look at it from both sides. You have to look at it from both sides because on one side, if you changed, I'm assuming you're saying we would have to change the point at which a demand letter would be sent, right? So if you were to change it to maybe where it's similar to a plea deal, to where you go through the process, you have the actual claim, it comes out, they say what the claim is, no mediation. So you don't even get a chance when it comes to your reputation, when it comes to everything that you might have involved. You don't even have a chance to take care of this with the demand letter. So you don't even know what they're looking for. It's just somebody's out there shooting at you and you don't know why until the claim actually comes out, right? So there's that part of it. At least if you get a demand letter before the claim is filed, you have an opportunity to talk to the other side. You get the mediation, you get to understand what's going on, and then you get to say, okay, this didn't happen. I think it's worth fighting it. Let's go forward. Or you can say, you know what? I will be willing to give you whatever settlement you're looking for, and we can make this go away. So there's that side of it. And then there's the other side. Obviously, if you were to change things, then you wouldn't have somebody trying to extort you, but you might not have the option of whether you want things to go public or not. So it's tough, man. It's a catch-22 in that case, because I don't know which way I would rather have it. Me personally, I'm cool with the demand letter because I'm gonna be real. If I've got the money and I've got the resources, in most cases, I'll just write the check. I'll say, just leave me alone. I don't want to deal with this. You know, so yeah, I don't know. It's tough to figure out what point should the demand letter be sent. Because you could say, okay, just file the claim. I'm going to look at the claim. I'll see what they're saying. And then we can have mediation. And then you can send the demand letter. But if you do that, then the claim's out there. That's tough. Yeah, we're going to get into Big U here in a second. Shout out to everybody who's just stopping by. We're going to get into Big U actually here coming up next. I think that was everything I had on Tony Busby. Yeah, so if y'all want to get into it, we're going to go ahead and talk about Big U here. Good morning to everyone that's just stopping by. Make sure y'all do me a favor and like the video on your way in. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to ask anymore. 100% of you who are watching have liked the video. Thank y'all. That's crazy. 100% of everybody watching has liked the video. Thank y'all so much for the support. Y'all have no idea how helpful it is when you just do that simple thing of liking the video. So thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and get into what's going on with Big U. Oh my gosh, this whole thing is a mess. There's a lot to get into here, y'all. So you're going to have to bear with me. So what I'm going to do is we're going to be jumping around a little bit. First, we're going to get into what Big U has to say about this whole situation. And that's the video y'all see here. We're going to hear from Big U himself. And we're going to see what's going on. Then I'm going to give you guys an overview of what's happening in this indictment. What are we seeing? Who's being held accountable? What are they being held accountable for? What did the alleged defendants do? And then we'll actually get into the full indictment and we'll start reading through it because, oh my gosh, this thing is absolutely wild. I mean, we're talking about NBA players are involved. We're talking about money being taken from foundations and businesses and put into someone's private account. I mean, this is crazy. So what we're going to do to start this off, this is probably going to be a series. This is going to be a series when it comes to everything that's going on with Big U, because we've got a lot of information here. What we're going to start off with is Big U himself actually spoke out about what's going on as he was going to turn himself in, which is wild. Let's listen to this video. Y'all let me know what you think. Oh, hold on. I gotta unmute it first. And shout out to the Art of Dialogue for this. Let's see what Big U's saying.
This is my last video before I turn myself in.
Dang.
I'm with my family. Talk to my sons. I talk to everybody, man. I'm just saying, going to deal with this fight, see what it is. I just want y'all to know, all this stuff is quagmire. Shit is all bull crap.
Is it?
I just need y'all prayers. I need y'all to... I don't even know what to say.
Dang.
21 years, I elevated my family, come back, sit in here and write and do what I need to do until I can come back home. People are supposed to help me. I hope you help me. If you can't, you don't worry about it. A lot of stuff y'all hearing is straight trash. And I appreciate the love and I appreciate the people who've been helping me. I don't know. It's hard helping black people and not being hunted for doing it.
First Street, it might be to, I don't know if it's to the right or the left.
Reach out to anybody who can help me, y'all.
You hear me?
Help my own family. Appreciate y'all. Go.
He's still going. He's not going.
I'm looking at this video as I come in to turn myself in, and I'm disheartened by the fact that they trying to say that I stole something from Developing Option, or I used Developing Option as a front Development Option paid my bills. They paid my house note. They paid the bills for my family, the money I made from.
I gotta stop him here, y'all. This is crazy. We talked about not talking to police. Don't talk to social media. Dang, man. Just relax. This is not gonna help you, sir. I don't get it, man. I don't get people running the social media like this. This is crazy.
As an employee for Development Option, I never mixed that with nothing. I didn't manipulate nobody. I didn't steal nothing. We did PPP loans. We did 2 loans.
PPP loans are coming back to haunt people.
I didn't use no fraud. I didn't give none of fake names. And one of them we was paying back and one they forgave. You know what I mean? And the other one we attempted for and they didn't give us nothing for it. I filed my taxes and them coming around telling me I was using Development Option as a cover. Cover for what? None of that's going to be true. None of that's going to be true. The government putting this big ass picture, they want to arrest 21 dudes. Some dudes I don't even talk to. I don't even know nothing about.
20-something
dudes. So how the
dudes.
hell you going to lump me in with all them? But it's all the big picture though. It's all the big picture. Now I'm gonna be sitting in here. It's gonna be years out of my life. Then you going to get dudes who I don't even talk to. What they gonna say? You ruining people's lives.
Have to wait and see.
I heard it's up with 21 people that's been arrested. This shit wrong. It is what it is. Church, just pray for me. Just pray for me, pray for my family. And you look at what we did. You look at what I did. I've been home 21 years.
Man.
It ain't over though. That's what it's not. Blessings.
He said it ain't over.
Charges on the news. I'm headed back to LA. And then I'm looking at the people they arrested. How you gonna go arrest people that I don't even talk to? That's a built-in liar right there.
Stop talking, man.
So,
stop talking.
is that how they gonna work the case? Everybody know I don't fuck with Cannon. Everybody know I don't fuck with Brick Baby. So if you went to arrest certain dudes, and put them next to me, them is the dudes you gonna have to call themselves turning against me. Well, ain't no turn against me. I ain't going for that. You might as well go get 600 and Wack.
Dang, he's calling other people names.
I did shit all year. So what they doing is they go on the internet and these dudes say that I did shit on the internet. Then when you say I did on the internet, they go investigate it. Now you raiding my houses, raiding my shops, raiding all this stuff. And talking about I'm committing crimes and covering up with Development Option. What crimes am I committing to cover up with Development Option? You know what I'm saying? I ain't committed no crimes and covered nothing up with Development Option.
Gotta be smart.
Shit crazy. But this how they get you. They get 1 or 2 people to say something. Ain't gonna be no real evidence. Ain't gonna be no real nothing. It's gonna be a repeated thug. It's gonna be a bunch of people in jail for a bunch of different crimes that don't have nothing to do with me. They finna lump all of us up and say it's all around the 60s. Watch and see. We just seen it with Thug. I'm finna experience the same thing out here. I knew it was coming. Now they understand
this is
all
different.
This stuff assassinating my character. All right, man, just pray for me. And again, they can do any one of us. It ain't nobody safe with these dudes. If these dudes feel they want you, how they going around talking about somebody's gonna raid my house before my house get raided? How they there with the police?
Yeah, here's the thing too. This is a federal case. He talking about Young Thug, brother. Let me tell you, this is not Young Thug. This is a federal case, federal charges. The feds had an opportunity to go at Young Thug. They said, "Ow,
stop the cap."
Nah, Fanny, you can try. Go ahead and try and get some pleas out of this. Pad your stats. We don't want any parts of this. You, sir, Big U, this is not the same.
Y'all sitting there following them. Everybody that's a part of them shows, and 100 shows, and all them shows, man, y'all need to, everybody who following them, promoting them, anything. Y'all wrong. Y'all ain't black. And y'all show ain't for our people.
You ain't black. I love how
They
black
can put
people say
charges
it.
against anybody.
Not the black card.
So this is gonna probably be my last video. I'm gonna go turn myself in to see what's going on. They talking about I'm a fugitive. So they just raided all my houses. 600.
They raided the houses.
The police when they raided my house. And he's actually got video and footage of it. So y'all know what y'all dealing with. And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600.
We're gonna get into it.
Stuff. All of y'all filed. All y'all who be sending shit around the internet. All y'all who be promoting and listening to what these niggas saying. All y'all giving these likes and hidden likes. All y'all supporting this. All y'all guilty of this fuck shit. If you have something against a black man, you should handle it with a black man in the streets. Wack said 100 times he was gonna take my contracts. He working with the FBI. The FBI went to the city 3 days in a row and told the city they didn't want nobody to give me no more money. They went to all the different celebrities and told all the different celebrities, don't give me no money, don't help me, don't do nothing for me. They going around scaring and intimidating everybody. But y'all sitting it around getting people in trouble. Like y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community.
Bruh.
I ain't been nothing but a help to our community.
Come on, man.
But I guess it is what it is.
Come on,
this
man.
The price of being black and trying to help somebody, trying to help your community.
Oh my God, I can't do
what
this.
You can. You just guilty because somebody else don't like you and they go on the internet and do what the fuck they want to, and y'all gonna promote it.
This is crazy, man.
It's crazy. But I'm going to go turn myself in though, cause I ain't did nothing.
I know, he's just a black man.
This fact is, man.
Come on.
They done went to my house, kicked my houses in, bust my doors down, bust my windows. They calling my son at his football practice, threatening him. You know what I mean? These dudes tagging him. What kind of shit is this? But y'all gonna be rolling with these dudes. And I got this last thing to say. Wack said he was gonna destroy developing option, right? So who gonna replace developing option? Which one of you fuck niggas in the 60s gonna call yourself coming in? Because whoever try to come in, y'all the ones that's working with Wack. Believe that. So remove me to get me out the way for somebody else to come in who gonna cooperate. That's what the play is. That's what the whole play is.
He said somebody's trying to take the throne.
I'm out. I'm gonna send y'all videos to put up, all of them until they lock me up.
All right, so again, if you don't have the context, a lot of what he's saying is going to be confusing, but we're going to get into it here in a second. Again, my guy, I don't think anybody's trying to diminish what you did for the community and what you allegedly did in the community. Parts of this, we're going to get into the indictment. They just look bad, all right? It's not about you being a black man. It's not about you being in the community. It's about how you handled what you were given. So we're going to get into it in a second. Y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments in the chat. Wow. I see y'all talking about, yeah, we're going to talk about it. I almost want to do this one before we get into the indictment. Because that indictment is a lot. We might get into Yella here. Y'all want to talk about Yella Beezy real quick before we get into the rest of this? Because now I'm gonna break it down and give y'all a summary of what's going on with this indictment. Those guys about to tell. Rat City. Oh man. Come on, man. He said it's a wrap. They have a wiretap with Brick Baby talking about giving money to Big U to set up a robbery. I own my own company, did receive a PPP loan and used it like it was meant to be used. It helped my company at the time. Yeah, I wish I had taken advantage of that. I did not. I'm waiting to see how long it took him to pull the I'm a strong black man. That's uplifting the community card. Yeah, get that BS out of here. You know what you did. Come on, man. He only asked the black rappers, athletes, or whatever to check in, i.e. grease his palm with money so he could have protection when you visit my area. What white person has done that too? Answer me. None. And they're saying that was the reason one of the reasons Shaq wanted to get out of LA, because he had issues with Big U. We won't get into that though. Y'all know the Crips. Nope. Classy. Who is he and what did he do? Poor guy. He's been driving for a while to turn himself in. Where did he have to go? He's driving in a circle. Oh man. Well, sir, I agree with that. Wack, yeah, Wack is likely an informant. Brick Baby is a stone cold idiot, and if he's not an informant, he's voluntarily one. Oh man, let's go ahead and see what's going on with. We'll get into this Yella conversation here real quick, and then we'll go into we'll go into the rest of this. So we're going to take a break. We've got some somewhat breaking news. Let me find which one of these do I want to go with. Y'all give me a second. We're doing this in real time because I hadn't planned on talking about this today. I was going to do it at some point tomorrow. But we'll go ahead and see what's going on here. If I could find the right video. Let me see. Is this the right one? No, this is not the right one. And y'all are saying, Brown Sugar Babe said, I said a bad word. Yeah, there's certain things we don't talk about. Yeah, I knew his name was Big U, dummy. Yeah, hey, let him live, y'all. Dang. I'm just trying to find a good news report. All right, we got a couple of them here. We'll do this one and this one. Supposedly, Adrian Bronner had loaded dice and took some athletes for 1.5 million, and Big U settled it to 100K allegedly. There's a lot of stories going around about what's going on here. All right, here we go. Let's get this first one up here and then we'll get into this. Oh my gosh. Then we'll get this. We're going to pivot a little bit, y'all. All right, here we go. Big Black says, Classy, what is wrong with these guys, bro? Clout is the new crack. I think it's worse than the 80s, man. The internet's a wild place. It's a wild place. Y'all make sure you like the video if you haven't yet. So it's being reported and turning out it's true. We're going to get into the documentation here shortly. That Yella Beezy has been arrested. And it looks like he's being accused of capital murder. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to let NBC News in Dallas talk about it. Here we go.
We begin with breaking news in Dallas, where rapper Yella Beezy has been arrested and accused of orchestrating the murder of another rapper in 2020.
Rapper Mo3 was gunned down on I-35E. Images of a gunman on the freeway were widely shared at the time. NBC5's Allie Spilliers joins us with more on the arrest. What do you know, Allie?
Brian and Brittany, on Tuesday, a grand jury indicted rapper Yella Beezy, otherwise known as Marquise Conway, with capital murder while remuneration in connection to the 2020 shooting death of Mo3. Today, Conway was booked into the Dallas County Jail. A grand jury referral says Conway hired a man named Keywan White to kill Melvin Noble, also known as Mo3. Noble was killed in a brazen attack on I-35 near Marsalis Avenue on November 11, 2020. Police say Noble stopped on the freeway when a dark-colored vehicle approached him. They say that's when the man in the other vehicle got out of his car with a gun and began walking towards Noble's car.
Come on, man.
Noble then got out and ran away. Investigators say the armed man chased Noble and fired several shots, hitting him at least once. A second person in a nearby car was also struck but survived. Now, up until now, Kewan White and another man named Devin Brown had been indicted on a murder charge linked to that shooting. While police have said White is the suspected shooter, they said Brown was upset over a relationship. As for Yella Beezy's alleged
always a
involvement,
chick, man.
police
Why?
have not given a potential motive.
Why is it always a chick with y'all, man? God dang. There's Yella right there. Shout out to Say Cheese. They've got the actual indictment here. What does it say? Capital murder while, I'm gonna mess it up, remuneration. Oh my gosh. Bad. What did they say? In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Dallas County, state of Texas, duly organized at the January term AD 2025 of the Criminal District Court number 4 for said county upon its oath to present in and to said court at said term. That Marquise Conway herein after called the defendant on or about the 11th day of November of 2020 in the county of Dallas, the state of Texas, did then and there intentionally and knowingly cause the death of Melvin Noble. Oh my gosh. An individual herein after deceased by employing Kewan White to murder the deceased for the remuneration and the promise of remuneration, namely United States currency, for the defendant and pursuant to said agreement, Kewan White did then and there intentionally and knowingly cause the death of the said deceased by shooting deceased with a firearm, a deadly weapon. And they said it was just one bullet. Just one bullet. So this man paid for somebody else, Kewan White, to kill Mo. Now, there's a lot to get into here. We're not going to get into it in this video, but I want to know what y'all think as we move forward. We're going to give some more details, and we're actually going to go back in time to an interview that Yella did with Adam 22. Do you think Kewan is going to talk? Do you think he's already talked? Do you think his testimony is a part of this indictment and part of one of the reasons why the jury said, yeah, he probably did this? We're gonna have to wait and see. Let's do a little bit of a rewind here and go back in time to when Yella sat down 2 years ago with Adam 22 in the interview. What are they talking about here?
Yeah, definitely. I did want to ask this is, you barely acknowledged it. You barely ever had anything to say about it, but there was a lot of tension, at least on records or people talking online, between you and Mo3. Now that he's passed, how do you view all that? Like, are you able to admit that he was, an important factor in the city for that period of time, or is it still just, you can't say anything?
Nah, I ain't never had no tension with nobody.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
I ain't never been no tension with nobody.
Come on, man.
I saw you give Vlad an answer like that at one point too.
I'm serious. I don't have a problem with people.
Right.
He ain't had no problem with me.
Dallas creates a lot of gangsters because I was actually looking back at my old interview with him, and I said basically the same thing to him. Basically didn't say shit. So
yeah,
respect.
Ain't never been none.
Definitely. But I don't know. Okay.
Do y'all believe him?
Person I wanted to ask you about from Texas, I wanted to get your thoughts on him. How you feel about the rise of Charleston White?
Man, that nigga, bro, he doing him. He doing him, man. He doing him.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, these shout out to Adam. Those interviews must be brutal. I'm not doing it. Y'all are saying you don't believe him? Well, here we go. Let's get some more details from Fox 4 and see what they've got. Oh, man. Of course, we're going to have an ad here because it's just interesting to hear from him how he kind of brushed it off, didn't give him any props. People knew there were issues there. They have been going back and forth. Come on, man.
A Dallas rapper was murdered outside of his car on I-35 near the Dallas Zoo. Hello, I'm Steve Eager.
And I'm Heather Hayes. It is a stark example of the city's struggle to control violent crime. Police say the victim, a hip-hop musician named Mo 3, was approached by the killer on I-35. Both men stopped their vehicles. The victim got out, took off, started running, but was shot several times on the highway. A bystander inside another vehicle was also hit. Police say that person did not suffer life-threatening injuries. Police are still looking for the shooter.
Wow. All right, so let's get into this article here and see what they say. What we know that Yella, also, we're just going to say Yella Beezy. Yella Beezy.
Need to open the door.
Hold on a second. Oh my goodness. Hold on a second. Y'all chill out. Here we go. We know that Yella Beezy was formally indicted by a Dallas County grand jury on Tuesday for the murder of Melon Noble, also known as Mo. We're just going to call him Mo, in November of 2020. According to the documents that they obtained, investigators say that he hired Kawan White to kill Mo. Conway was arrested on Thursday on the charge of capital murder while remuneration. Investigators say Noble was in his car on the interstate while White, wearing a ski mask and holding a gun, approached his car. Police say that Noble got out of his car and started running away when White shot him in the back several times. White was arrested a month later and charged with murder. He's currently serving a 9-year prison sentence for firearm charges connected to the shooting. All right, so next up, Conway's being held in a Dallas County jail. His bond has not been set yet. Yeah, and I don't think that'll happen probably until next week. What do y'all think about this? Do y'all believe it? Do y'all think Yella had nothing to do with it? Is Mr. White already talking? I have a feeling we're going to see things start to move pretty quickly coming up here soon, and we're going to be covering here on the channel. Let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. Wow. Exactly. That's why AR. Oh, yeah. That's why AR is doing 40 years right now, and these dummies saw that, and they still didn't learn anything. Texas has a super highway to the chair. Oh, man. I remember Yella acting like he didn't know who Mo 3 was. Yeah, you see that? You see him in the interview? Y'all saw him in the interview. He was like, I'm not checking. Come on, man. Classic case of greed and jealousy. But why? Why, though? Only 9. He's already been talking. Y'all think he's trying to get up out of there? Sheesh. All right, what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just have this Vlad TV video playing in the background. We're going to go ahead and get into what's actually going on with this indictment against Big U. What is happening? Who's mentioned in the indictment? What are they being charged with? What are the situations that happen surrounding this indictment? And I'm going to go ahead and read. I've got an outline for y'all. I was going to put the outline on the screen, but that's going to be boring. So we'll just go ahead and get into this indictment. And then after we're done here, I'm going to start reading the full indictment so we can get an idea of specifically what's being said. But just a quick overview. All right. This is a federal criminal complaint and an arrest warrant. It was filed on March 17th in California. Okay. And here it is. What charges do we have? We've got RICO. Oh, Lord. What? Robbery, prostitution, fraud, and deletion. Here are the main defendants. All right, to give y'all some background. We have the gentleman you see on the screen, Mr. Eugene Henley Jr., aka Big U, also known as Unc, Hannibal, and anybody killer. God. All right, so he's the main target of the investigation. He's also the alleged leader in the document of the Big U enterprise. Y'all know the feds like to use the terms enterprises when they're talking, well, and even as we saw here in Fulton County with the YSL, calling it an enterprise as well. And they're saying it's a criminal organization. A known and self-proclaimed OG, as they say. He's a part of the rolling 60s Crips, allegedly. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. They're saying he's a part of the rolling 60s Crips, an LA street gang. He used his status to intimidate, extort, and control others in LA through violence and threats. And now going into his black card, helping out the community card that he's played. We've seen this done in the past. We've seen people say this before. Y'all mentioned it in the comments and in the chat as well. This is nothing new. But what they're alleging is that Big U posed as a community activist and ran a nonprofit called Developing Options, which he allegedly used for fraud and embezzlement. Talking about the PPP loans, they're getting a lot of people. We've also got Sylvester Robinson, aka Vay. What do they say about Vay? Henley's right-hand man. His enforcer is his driver. He allegedly helped coordinate and carry out violent acts and robberies. We're going to get into that later. We've got Mark Martin, aka Bear Claw, another close associate of Big U. He is the CFO. Oh man, he's going to be in trouble. Of Developing Options and the co-founder of Unique Music. He founded that together with his guy that we see on the screen, Mr. Henley. He's also, Martin is, or Bear Claw's also accused of helping Henley with fraud and illegal financial activity. We've got Tremaine Ashley Williams, aka Cannon. Y'all know Cannon, right? Rapper and an associate of the Big U Enterprise. He allegedly participated in armed robberies and other acts of violence. We're going to get into that as well. We've got Armani in here, also known as Monty, accused of helping traffic individuals across state lines for prostitution. Again, this trafficking charge is so easy to get. If you take someone from one state to another and they say, "Oh, I didn't really want to go," trafficking. So, not putting too much weight on that one until we hear what actually went down. All right, shout out to Monty though. We've got Frederick Blanton Jr. and Tiffany Sharika Hines. Okay, associates involved in bank fraud related to a fraudulent mortgage application. There we go with the PPP loan fraud. Boy, it was rampant when they were giving things out. People are using it for everything, including Big U paying themselves. What is the Big U Enterprise? All right, let's break this down. First, they're describing it as a mafia-like criminal organization led by your guy Big U here. It's independent from the rolling 60s gang, but they're linked allegedly. Allegedly, he was engaged in deletion. I will say it, murder for YouTube is fine, including a rapper named, oh man, RW. Here we go. Robbery and extortion, human trafficking, fraud, bank wire, and COVID-19 loan fraud, PPP loans. We've got obstruction of justice, illegal use of nonprofits for financial gain. Here are the allegations. We're going to go back to Las Vegas in 2021, where RW was murdered. They're alleging that your guy Big U lured RW into a studio in Las Vegas, right? Under his label. RW had reportedly disrespected Henley in the song. He had a diss track. Surveillance, phone data, and witness statements suggest that Big U drove him to the desert, took care of it, and dumped his body. And we're going to talk about the check-ins. Y'all know this is common in the streets. In certain places you go. I'm not going to name any names. Henley allegedly, according to this indictment, forced artists and athletes to check in with him when they were coming to LA, essentially extorting for protection. He said, "Hey, you want to come around here? You want to go down to Martin Luther King Boulevard? You want to go to Rodeo? You better let me know. And send a check so I can make sure you're okay. This is for you. I'm just trying to protect you, man. Hey, listen. I just want to make sure you're okay. It's crazy out here. You know, they got Crips running around here, right? Those who didn't pay faced threats of violence, obviously. He even had a podcast called Check In, promoting the idea. Oh man, this is bad. This is bad, y'all. What else? What else are they saying? What else are the feds saying? We've got fraud and embezzlement. Henley is accused of Big U. What did he do? Embezzling charitable donations. Debatable. Defrauding the city of Los Angeles and SBA with the COVID loans. That's going to be a tough one for him. Using developing options and unique music for illegal activity. And then last but not least, helping others fake employment and income for loans. What? Then what else do we have? We've got obstruction and threats. Henley allegedly threatened witnesses, destroyed video evidence, and coerced people to stay silent. In summary, Big U, he's a giant LA figure. He had a lot going on. He was involved in the community, as y'all heard him say himself. And they're saying he was running a criminal enterprise under the guise of doing things for the community as a nonprofit. Alongside with his inner circle, he's charged with using intimidation, violence, and fraud to enrich himself to maintain power. Wow. So y'all think, what do y'all think, man? Y'all think he was just a black man trying to help the community, as he said? And y'all see what they do? Y'all see what they do to Thug? They doing the same thing to me. We're going to get into the specific details of this indictment shortly. I want to know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Yikes. Oh, man, this is tough. What do y'all think so far, man? Shout out to the gang in the building. Libby's up in here. What's up, Libby? The PPP loans are coming back to... Does anybody know? Y'all don't say any names. Do y'all know anybody in the chat who actually got in trouble for PPP loan issues? They want to give him 200 years. Wow, he's already 58. He's not accused of being a Fed for no reason, you know. I just got my third eye on that man. Man, it's terrible. I don't even know where to start. He's in big trouble, says Taco Tuesday. If he has no documentation showing that he was giving himself a salary, etc., he's going to be found guilty. If this man was doing business at this scale and he didn't, you're saying he didn't have a W-2? Oh. I don't want to get in too much into taxes and stuff, but I'm going to be making some changes here shortly. And technically, I mean, I can't imagine that right now I'm doing anything close to what Big U is doing when it comes to scale. If he was not paying himself as a W-2 employee, that is amazing. All they're going to do is subpoena all his bank records, show that he has taken most or all of the donations and pocketing it for himself, and he's done. So instead of Big U using PPP as he should, he used it for personal protection. He used it as a personal protection program. Come on, man. You can't cross funds like that. Floyd says not in the chat, but I got a homegirl who got a 10-piece. What? A 10-piece? Oh, Lord. For PPP fraud? Yeah. There's a lot of people that got caught up in that. All they're going to do. Okay, I read that one. Yep. It seems like this is going to be tough. He's not accused of being a Fed for no reason. Got that one. Okay. They have a lot of wiretaps. All right. So I think I'm going to keep this video up here instead of y'all looking at the document. Let me know what y'all want to see. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move this document over here so I could read it, and we're gonna go through this. Now, I actually want to show y'all this, so hold on a second. Even if you're selling stuff at a flea market, the government comes around sometimes to see if you're filling out a 1099 form, I think. Those Vlad interviews will be used as evidence, correct? So this is a quick document we have before we get into the actual full indictment. I give you guys a full breakdown of what's going down. Right? So this was filed as well because the state didn't want all the information to come out in this. So the feds were trying to hold back some information. This ended up actually getting denied, but I wanted to read this and let y'all know what's going on. So this is the proposed order to sealing documents. So they wanted to have some of these documents sealed. Why? For good cause shown, it is hereby ordered that the criminal complaint, arrest warrants, search warrants, and all attachments thereto in the application for the criminal complaint, arrest warrants, search warrants, and all attachments here thereto, as well as the ex parte application for orders sealing documents, the memorandum of points and authorities, the declaration of Jenna McCabe, and this court's sealing order, and all documents subsequently filed under this same case number until such time as any defendant in this case is arrested, at which time the documents will be deemed automatically unsealed, or until the government determines that the materials are subject to its discovery obligations in connection with the criminal proceedings or other obligations under the federal rules of criminal procedure, at which time they may be produced to the defendants. It is so ordered by Patricia Donahue. All right. In case of the denial, they have this information here. The government's application for an order sealing documents is denied. So it's not going to be sealed. We're going to see a lot more documents come out. The underlying document and the sealing application shall be returned to the government without filing of the documents or reflection of the name and the nature of the documents on the clerk's public docket. Let's go ahead and get into this actual indictment. Here we go, y'all. There's a lot here. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but we're going to get through as much as we can. We have the introduction, obviously, and the affidavit. Let's go ahead and get into this introduction first. Here we go. I am a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and have been so employed since September of 2018. I am currently assigned to a criminal enterprise squad at the Orange County Resident Agency of the FBI, where I am tasked with investigating violent gangs and organized criminal enterprises. From March 2019 through December 2024, when I joined the Orange County Resident Agency, I was assigned to the Los Angeles Field Office investigating violent gangs and organized criminal enterprises in conjunction with the Los Angeles Metropolitan Task Force on Violent Gangs. All right, they call it the LAMTFVG. Oh my God. We're going to call it the LAM. A multi-agency federal, state, and local gang task force. They're all working together. My experience as a special agent with the FBI includes, but is not limited to, conducting physical surveillance, executing search and arrest warrants, working with informants, issuing subpoenas, analyzing pen register and trap and trace records, interviewing subjects and witnesses, consensually monitoring meetings and telephone calls, analyzing financial records, and conducting court authorized interception of wire communications. Oh my. I have received training in the investigation of violations of federal law, including racketeering laws and federal drug conspiracy laws, and have personally participated in and assisted with several gang investigations involving racketeering and drug conspiracies. All right, here we go. The purpose of the affidavit. This affidavit is made in support of a criminal complaint and arrest warrants for Big U, obviously, and everybody else we just mentioned. We've got Termaine Williams, we've got Cannon, we've got Monty, we've got Blanton, we've got Hines, and Monty, they're going to refer to him as his last name. That's going to be confusing, man. And Williams is going to be won't be referred to as Cannon. I'll try and keep up with that, but there's a lot going on here. We'll get into it here in a second. The facts set forth in this affidavit are based upon my personal observations, my training and experience, and information obtained from various law enforcement personnel and witnesses. This affidavit is intended to show merely that there is sufficient probable cause for the requested complaint and warrants, and does not purport to set forth any of my knowledge of or investigation into this matter. Unless specifically indicated otherwise, all conversations and statements described in this affidavit are related in substance and in party only. All amounts are approximate, and all dates and times are on or about those indicated. Persons, property, and premises to be searched. They searched the black Mercedes. They searched his house. This is the raids that he's talking about. The house in California, another house in California. They've got another house in California, a fourth house in California, and this is an apartment. The business of the ex-offender fellowship network, doing business as Developing Options, and other names, Developing Options, located at Crenshaw. All right, shout out to Crenshaw. Items to be seized. What did they get? The items to be seized from Henley's Mercedes, Henley's 62nd Street premises, and Henley's Arlington premises are evidence, fruits, and instrumentalities of violations of 18 USC 1962, the RICO. So this is why they're getting all this stuff, right? And bank fraud and all that. The items to be seized from Robinson's are other stuff as well. And then the summary of the investigation. In February 2021, the FBI Los Angeles Metropolitan Task Force of Violent Gangs launched an investigation into Henley's criminal enterprise. So they were only investigating this for a year. Wow. Or was it? We'll just keep reading. So they launched an investigation into Henley's criminal enterprise and its association with the Rollin 60s neighborhood Crips street gang. They're going to be referred to as Rollin 60s, which the Lamb began investigating in August of 2020. The Big U Enterprise is a mafia-like organization that utilizes Henley's stature and longstanding association with the Rolling 60s and other street gangs to intimidate businesses and individuals in LA. The Big U Enterprise is led by Henley. Henley is a self-admitted member and organized gangster, or OG, of the Rolling 60s, a violent criminal street gang with associated sets and several other states. Henley is widely regarded as a leader within the Rolling 60s. Yikes. In the 1980s, Henley rose to a prominent position in the Los Angeles drug and Rolling 60s hierarchy. During this time, Henley also earned a reputation as an enforcer for the Rolling 60s. Some members of the Big U Enterprise are also members of the Rolling 60s. Henley is able to lead the Big U Enterprise because of his standing as the face of the Rolling 60s for decades and his reputation for violence, including murder. At times, the Big U Enterprise partners with members and associates of the Rolling 60s and other criminal elements for mutual benefit, but the Big U Enterprise is a distinct and independent criminal enterprise engaged in criminal activity. Members and associates of the Big U Enterprise are engaged in illegal activities, including extortion, robbery, murder, human trafficking, wire fraud, bank fraud, other financial crimes, obstruction of justice, illegal debt collection. Oh, they were sharking out here. Illegal gambling, conspiracy to commit fraud via illegal gambling, and other offenses in furtherance of the Big U enterprise and for the benefits of its members and associates. Yikes. As set forth in detail below, through the course of the investigation, agents gathered information from a variety of sources, including confidential human sources. So there were some snitches up in there. Oh, they had a leak in the boat. Come on, Big U. Confidential human sources. Recordings, including Title III wiretaps, search warrants for social media, iCloud, and Google accounts, financial records from both individuals and companies or organizations, toll records showing communications between conspirators, victims, the Big U enterprise members, and associates, cell site location information from numerous phones, including Henley's, Robinson's, and Martin's, the City of Los Angeles records, public filings, and other publicly available information, and interviews of witnesses and victims. The investigation employed various additional investigative techniques, including surveillance, vehicle tracking, poll cameras, recording devices, interaction with confidential sources, and information gleaned through undercover purchases of firearms and narcotics. The United States District Court for the Central District of California authorized multiple Title III wire and electronic interception orders for telephones being used by certain subjects of the investigation, including Henley, Robinson, Martin, and Mitchell, aka Brick Baby. The court also authorized the interception of audio and visual nonverbal contact via closed circuit TV, CCTV, as it's going to be called moving forward, through the installation of video and audio bugs in a location. This is not good. This is not looking good for Big U. They got the audio. They got the video. They got the snitches. Man. Since the inception of this investigation, the FBI, Internal Revenue Service, Criminal Investigation Unit, the U.S. State's Attorney's Office for the Central District of California, North Las Vegas Police Department, Los Angeles Police Department, and other local agencies have interviewed more than 50 individuals, including subjects of the investigation who agreed to voluntarily provide information as discussed further below. Shaq, Draymond, who else was in there? Based on information learned from these individuals and other sources, FBI, special investigators from the IRS, and the LAPD detectives requested and obtained additional search warrants and subpoenas. Below, I summarize the information and evidence obtained thus far from these various investigative tools. Where relevant to the requested complaint and warrants, the investigation remains ongoing. Summary of the probable cause. Now, this is where we're going to get into what did they actually see? What was going on? This is going to be interesting too. Henley, Robinson, and Martin and others known and unknown are members of the Big U Enterprise, a criminal organization whose members and associates engage in, among other things, murder, kidnapping, robbery, extortion, interstate transportation for the purposes of prostitution, bank fraud, wire fraud, embezzlement, and obstruction of justice. The Big U Enterprise operates within the Central District of California and elsewhere. The Big U Enterprise, including its leaders, members, and associates, constituted an enterprise as defined by Title 18 under the United States Code Section 1961-4. That is, a group of individuals associated in fact that engaged in and activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce. The Big U Enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members and associates function as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the purpose of the Big U Enterprise. As we see, it's always said in the furtherance of the Big U Enterprise. The purposes of the Big U Enterprise include, but are not limited to, the following: enriching Big U Enterprise members and associates by using the power and status of the Big U Enterprise, and Henley as an original gangster, an OG in the rolling 60s, to commit extortion, robbery, fraud, and other crimes. Promoting, protecting, and expanding the power, reputation, and profits of the Big U Enterprise and its members and associates through the use of intimidation, fear, violence, threats of violence, assault, extortion, and murder. Using social media platforms, documentaries, podcasts, interviews, and Henley's reputation and status to create fame for the stoke of fear, the Big U Enterprise, its members, and its associates. Financially enriching Big U Enterprise members and associates by defrauding donors to nonprofit entities under the control of the Big U Enterprise and its members and associates, including developing options. A lot of people gave money to developing options too. Financially enriching Big U Enterprise members and associates by defrauding federal and state and local agencies that awarded grants and other financial support to nonprofit entities under the control of the Big U Enterprise and its members and associates, including developing options. Financially enriching Big U Enterprise members and associates by defrauding mortgage lending businesses to make loans to employees of entities under the control of Big U Enterprise and its members and associates, including Unique Music Entertainment and developing options. So was he the one actually doing this, or were there people who were working for him that were doing this? Because that's where I'm not clear, but I guess we're going to get into it at some point. Gratifying Big U Enterprise members and associates by trafficking and exploiting adult workers and concealing and protecting the illegal activities from the Big U Enterprise and its members and associates from detection by law enforcement through means that included, among other things, witness tampering and obstruction of justice. Beginning no later than 2010 and continuing to the present day in Los Angeles County within the Central District of California and elsewhere, Henley, Robinson, and Martin, each being a person employed by and associated with Big U Enterprise and enterprise engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly and intentionally conspired to violate Title 18 United States Code Section 1962, that is, to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the Big U Enterprise through the pattern of racketeering activity, as that term is defined in Title 18. Multiple acts involving murder, chargeable under Nevada revised statute. This is where they're saying he took RW out into the desert and yikes. I mean, wow. Kidnapping in Nevada, robbery in California, extortion in California. They've got, what else do they have in here? It was further part of the conspiracy that Henley, Robinson, and Martin agreed that a conspirator would commit at least 2 acts of racketeering activity in the conduct of the affairs of the Big U Enterprise. Henley, Robinson, Martin, and other members of the associates of the Big U Enterprise conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the Big U Enterprise through the following means and methods, among others. Members and associates of the Big U Enterprise committed and conspired, attempted, and threatened to commit acts of violence, including murder, armed assaults, robberies, extortion, acts of intimidation, and threats of violence to generate income, create an atmosphere of fear, protect and expand the Big U Enterprise's reputation and violence. We've heard this before. And expand the Big U's enterprise's reputation for violence and expand the Big U's enterprise's criminal operations. All right. What else do we have here? Oh, here we go. As a part of the Big U Enterprise's purported control of Los Angeles, individuals including professional athletes, musicians, and others intending to conduct certain types of businesses in LA, including both legitimate business and illicit criminal conduct, were required to check in with Henley prior to traveling to Los Angeles or engaging in certain activities to obtain protection from the Big U enterprise while in Los Angeles. Oh, man. Henley hosted a podcast titled Check In, the opening theme song of which explained, when you hop off the plane, check in, penthouse suite, check in. When your feet hit the street, check in, because if not, it's get hot. You better check in. The check-in included both a payment to the Big U enterprise as well as requesting permission from Henley to conduct certain activities, including acts of violence that were sanctioned by Big U enterprise, as Henley described in a documentary film that he produced about his life titled Hip Hop Uncovered. Always talking, man. Y'all going to stop talking so much. If I don't pick up, he said, if I don't pick up the phone, that can mean death for somebody. What? As Henley stated in the Nothing to Something podcast, you're going to check in. You could choose not to, and it's going to be a problem. If you choose not to check in, you suffer the consequences. Dang. He said this in the interview. You feel like you got something bigger than what's there, and that's not checking in is basically, and that not checking in is basically an act of war. It ain't not one human being who not gonna check in. While members and associates of Big U Enterprise use Henley and the Big U's enterprise history and reputation to control Los Angeles through fear, violence, and intimidation, Henley simultaneously attempted to create an air of legitimacy for the Big U enterprise by promoting himself as a reformed gang member, focused on bettering his community through purported nonprofit organizations he founded, such as Developing Options, and by soliciting donations from celebrities and grants from governments and foundations to these charitable organizations. In actuality, Henley and other members and associates of the Big U enterprise used these purported nonprofit entities to enrich and further the objectives of the Big U enterprise, including by embezzling funds meant as charitable donations to the nonprofit entities, using the nonprofit entities to fraudulently apply for government assistance and loans, using the nonprofit entities to falsify employment and financial records to personally benefit members and associates of the Big U enterprise. Again, did he do that or did somebody else do that? Members and associates of the Big U enterprise would discipline, and they've got that in quotation marks, other members and associates who acted in ways seen as detrimental to the Big U enterprise, or other individuals who were seen as disrespecting the Big U enterprise or its members, including through threats and acts of violence such as assault, kidnapping, and murder. Members and associates of the Big U enterprise would avoid detection by law enforcement by, among other activities, attempting to thwart and evade law enforcement surveillance, destroying video surveillance or evidence, and threatening, otherwise pressuring victims or witnesses of crimes committed by the members or associates of the Big U enterprise to avoid interaction with or to provide untruthful statements or testimony to law enforcement officers. In sum, there is probable cause to believe that in furtherance of the Big U enterprise, Henley kidnapped and murdered the victim RW in Las Vegas in retaliation for perceived disrespect to the Big U enterprise, and endeavor to conceal that murder with the other Big U enterprise members and associates. Man. Henley, Robinson, Martin, and Williams committed and arranged robberies to enrich the Big U enterprise, further the extortions committed by the Big U enterprise, and create the impressions that the Big U enterprise controlled LA. Henley, Robinson, and Martin extorted individuals in Los Angeles for purported protection when such protection was actually from violence committed by the Big U enterprise itself. I mentioned this earlier. He said, yeah, you know, there's Crips out here, right? You know, there's rolling 60s out here. Y'all got to be careful. I'm gonna protect you from me. Oh man, Henley and oh man, they're using his name now. Hold on a second. I gotta go back up here and see who this is. Who is A? We've got Manny. Okay, that's Manny. So let me go back and read this. Because I'm not gonna try and pronounce Manny's name in here because it's a tough one. All right, here we go. So Henley, Robinson, and Martin. Here we go. Henley and Manny arranged for interstate transportation of individuals to engage in prostitution. Henley and Big U Enterprise members. Henley defrauded various companies, donors, athletes, and celebrities into providing donations to the Big U Enterprises charities, only to transfer these donations to his own personal bank accounts for personal use. Really? Really, my guy? Come on. Henley fraudulently obtained funding from the City of Los Angeles Mayor's Office through the Gang Reduction Youth Development, GRYD Foundation, portions of which receive federal funding. Henley defrauded and attempted to defraud the Small Business Administration, the SBA, for loans that benefited the Big U Enterprise. To enrich Blanton, a Big U Enterprise associate who purported to work for the Big U Enterprises charitable organization, Henley, Martin, and Blanton and Hines committed bank fraud by submitting a fraudulent mortgage application. And Henley, Robinson, and Martin and other members and associates of the Big U Enterprise attempted to obstruct investigations into and conceal the above referenced crimes committed on behalf of the Big U Enterprise. Then we've got a statement of probable cause here. Oh man, there's so much more of this I want to get into because I want to get into the actual details, but we're about 1/5 of the way through this thing. This thing is 107 pages. Oh man, this indictment is crazy. I might have to go and finish reading this full thing over on the Patreon because it's going to take a minute. But either way, let me know what y'all think about this so far in the comments and in the chat. It's not looking good for Big U. Especially if they're saying they can see the money that he got from the and it's moving to his account. That alone is going to be a major issue for him. So at the end of the day, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Yikes. Not looking good for Big U, man. Not looking good. Jay-Z's in here. What's up, Jay-Z? It's been a minute. Jay-Z said free brick, baby. Big Useless also got $1.5 million in grant money for his gang youth prevention program. Shh. They're acting like a bunch of unled wild banshees. There's always a leak in the boat. Yeah. He said human informants. Yikes. The feds gave money to a confidential source to give money to Big U for protection. For Mr. U, it's not looking good for you, sir. Most people who donated to this man's foundation or whatever probably wrote it off as a tax write-off anyway. That's true. Big U was charging a weed dispensary approximately $25,000 a month for protection. The guy quit paying. Cannon robbed them and an owner snitched allegedly. The chances of Big U being found guilty are the same as Classy hitting the gym less than 3 times a week. 100%. Oh, you said at least 3 times a week. Oh man, that's crazy. ADX will be his next address. Dang. Let me see. Y'all saying then Big U went and got security footage from the RW studio session and the studio got a different security system. Wow. They need to stop going to Vlad and snitching. Correction, sir. Ain't no black human being not going to check in because you're not forcing anybody else but your own people to pay you money for protection. Well, dang. All right, y'all, we're going to get up out of here. I hope y'all have a great rest of your afternoon. We're going to be live tonight for another episode of the Song of the Night Live. So if you enjoy hearing music from some of the amazing artists in the community, make sure you tap in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a great time. We'll be dropping more clips and videos over the weekend. So if you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live. Y'all know what to do. As always, have a great rest of your day. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We go. Peace. Dang, man.